most important factors to success is our environment. And as entrepreneurs, we're trained to think of that as the people we surround ourselves with and our energetic environment. But you know what? It also includes our physical environment and our home and office surroundings. And I firmly believe the space you work and live in should reflect what you want to achieve and who you want to become. Hey there, I'm Nafissa Shireen, success coach and business strategist for entrepreneurs, and welcome to Living Forward TV, where we help you to create a thriving business you absolutely love all around your personal freedom. And speaking of environment, I'm really excited about our guest today, Lori Steeves. With nearly 20 years of decorating experience, Lori's energy knows no bounds. Whether it's taking on new client projects, flipping homes, or designing and opening a cafe with her husband, Jonathan, she never shies away from a creative challenge. Lori, welcome to Living Forward TV. Thank you for coming here today.
Thanks, Nafissa. It's great to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here today. I know this is a little bit of a different topic than some of the standard, how-tos in your business, but I'm just such a firm believer in environment and up-leveling ourselves and in putting ourselves in the environment we want to be in so that we can be that success of what we see for ourselves. So having you here today was really important because I believe our home and our office and how we see ourselves is so important as entrepreneurs.
Well, obviously, I agree with you.
Yes, yeah, I would say so. But before we dive into that, I have some questions for you on entrepreneurship, because I think your entrepreneurial journey, going from working for someone to starting your own is an important thing for our viewers to listen to and to understand, because I know a lot of times people think, can I go out and do that? But I also want to know a little bit more about the decorating versus design and how it impacts people. But before we go there, I ask everybody this question, and that is, what does living forward mean to you?
Living forward to me means not dwelling on where we've been, but always kind of focusing on the next step that we're going to take. I was thinking about this because I knew this question was coming, and I think that one of my strengths and my weaknesses is that I tend to look ahead all the time. We all make mistakes. There's nothing that we can do about that other than really learn from what we've done and move on. And so I think that's it's a really good thing to be able to do, to kind of pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep on going. But at the same time, I have quite a challenge with it because I tend to look ahead so much that sometimes when there is a success and something to celebrate, I forget to take a minute and stop and go, wow, I achieved that. And
you do achieve a lot.
Oh, well, I try.
I'm always happy to remind you. Well, thank you for that. And I would like to dive into this. I know that I didn't quite warn you on this, but we did talk about in the opening, and as you said, you agree with me on the importance of having a nice environment. Whether we are employed in the corporate world or we are entrepreneurs, our audience tends to be primarily entrepreneurs. I really think that piece of putting ourselves in a nice environment it's not a nice to have. It's not a thing that only certain people do. I think it's a requirement to our success.
It's a must-have. It's a must-have, in my opinion. If you really think about it, there are all different levels of tolerance. Some people are really affected by their environment. I would say I'm one of those people, deeply affected. So I'm not able to work if my environment is not totally clean, if I'm not organized, if I can't find exactly what I need when I need it. But that's, that sort of thing is kind of a basic level.
That's utilitarian.
Yeah, exactly. But there's such a more holistic effect of it. It affects your ability to be creative. It affects people's perception of you, if they're seeing you in the space or if they're coming to your workspace and meeting with you. It's really important that your environment reflect your level of professionalism and what's important to you. And I love helping people with their home offices, actually. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Well, and I think, too, even if nobody sees your home office, you see it. And
That's
then
right.
as an individual, we're in there every day. It's going to affect how we show up, how we're on the phone, what our energy is, how seriously we take our business. what we charge, right?
Absolutely.
And I will tell clients and I will tell entrepreneurs, like, maybe sometimes you can't even have a space in your home for an office. But if you're sitting at the kitchen table, you don't have it full of food dishes. Have a nice part of the table, put a flower there, make it look nice. And in your office, at the very least, put your books on your shelves and paper off the floor. It's just, it's important. But as you said, that's kind of a foundational level. When we talk about taking that next level and up leveling, I always believe our workspace and our home space should reflect where we want to go. And every couple of years I redo my office because I'm like, well, that's who I wanted to become a couple of years ago.
Right.
I think I'm there. So is it time for a refresh?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because actually we're moving our office in January. We're completing a renovation and moving. And this time, it's really the first time that I've allowed myself to completely dream of my ideal space. And no matter what the cost, I'm going for it. I'm putting in those marble backsplash tiles and, everything that I want. I've decided it's time for me to have all those things.
Well, and it's interesting. You said no matter what the cost, but let's talk about this as an investment, right? I mean, what would you say to somebody who is thinking like, well, this is a big cost? I mean, I look at it as it's no different than investing in the right equipment or the right mentoring or the right team.
Absolutely. When I look back at all the renovations that I've done personally over the years, one thing that I've realized is 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you never think back about, oh, I paid so much for this. Yeah. Rather, the flip side is that you will often look back if you didn't make that investment and think, why didn't I put the heated floors in the bathroom?
I know. I mean, like even in our home, like we had it built and, you can pick all these things. And I still remember thinking, just even in the powder room, should I get the granite? Shouldn't I? Nah. And now I think back, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
What was it? Why didn't I do that? It was just a few $100s more,
and
right?
You never would have missed that few $100s now.
Exactly,
right? So,
right? And
yeah.
and it's just how you feel when you walk into a space. It makes it a really big difference. I mean, tidy is one thing, but looking good is a whole other thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if we take that to our home and, we've talked about this, how you want your clients to feel like they can live in their space and feel at home in their space. Can you talk a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, so a lot of people call me up and tell me, I don't know if I can work with you because I've got a family and I've got a dog and I'm afraid that if I get the nice sofa that the kids are going to ruin it. And I just think, oh goodness, that's so sad. Like you need to live there. I'm not going to decorate your home so that you can't live in it. We're not here to, well, we'd love to be here to do a spread for a magazine, but you can also live in this home. And with all of the innovations in fabric technology and stain resist, it's no problem to create something beautiful that is also functional and livable.
So you heard that, right? You don't have to sacrifice beauty for livability.
No.
And I mean, I think they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, it's your home isn't like a showroom. It's a place where you live. And
Absolutely.
A good designer is going to take all of your life activities into account.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I'm curious to know the difference between interior design and interior decorating.
Okay. Well, that is a question that a lot of people have, and it is confusing. So let me explain a little bit about that. So we specialize in interior decorating, and really what that is the finishing piece. It is actually what I would consider the up-leveling, because a lot of people do a renovation. It's very common. But then once you're done your renovation, you put your old furniture back in, and it's always going to feel a little bit lackluster. When you really take that extra step and do the decorating piece where you're picking the furnishings that are going to best suit the space, best suit your lifestyle. They're going to have those stain resistance qualities, all the things that you might need for your life. That is where you take, the ordinary home and you make it extraordinary.
Yeah. And I think, and what that does for your mindset is,
oh, it's freedom.
It's priceless, right?
I don't know how many clients I have who spend a lot of time worrying about, I don't want to entertain because people are going to see my home and I don't feel proud. And I mean, that's no way to live. I want you to be able to open your front door to anyone and just feel so proud of the home that you live in, and that it's really a reflection of you. And that's what we strive for in every project.
And could you just speak a little bit to the benefit of working with an interior decorator? You know, sometimes people might think, well, I kind of know what I like, and if you can just give me some colors, I'll go pull it together, or they think they can do it themselves. And usually, I mean, I think that winds up with, it's not always a mishmash, but something never quite feels right. So what are some of the mistakes you see people make when they do go to put those furnishings in their home?
Well, the number one mistake that I see all the time is that people shop for individual items. So they think, okay, well, the biggest thing in the room is the sofa. I should go pick out a sofa. But they're looking for a sofa in a vacuum. So when we approach a project, we look at it as the whole. So we're not looking for a sofa. We're actually designing the layout of the room first, figuring out exactly which pieces are needed, and then we figure out how exactly we need to combine those with, you know, the weight of each piece, the fabric, the scale. And it's just a completely different approach that most people don't automatically go to. I mean, you might have great taste, but if you have great taste, you don't necessarily have the method that, you know, you should use to create a great space and pull it together.
All together, right?
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? It's no different than like when you're planning your business, right? It's looking at the big picture,
exactly,
and then filling it down with the details. And what I'm hearing you're saying is the mistake people are making is they start with the small details, and then the big picture is not complete, or it's awkward,
exactly,
or uncomfortable.
I mean, if you're starting a business, you think, okay, I need a website. But if you design a website and you don't have any kind of image or, you know, logo, it's exactly the same situation with your home. You need that big picture.
A strategy. Like you need a strategy, right?
You do.
So tell me a little bit about, you know, some of the results your clients have had, like the reactions. And I know that you have some befores and afters to show us of some of the work, and we're going to show you guys some of them. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I love before and afters. Yeah. Well, I would say the best reaction is when people are brought to tears. That's my favorite, because I know that I've deeply impacted them. And you know, people will think that design and decor is a superficial thing, but I really believe that the impact on your life is profound. Mm-hmm. And I really see that when somebody comes into their space and their lips start to quiver and they're just like, wow, I can't believe this is my home. And so at the end of the day, for me, that is the hugest payoff. That's what I love.
I can imagine. I mean, it's just that, again, it's that feeling of like, I did this. This is who I am.
I've impacted somebody's life in a positive way. Yeah. It's really great.
Which is fantastic. So do you have some before and afters that you can show us and talk to us about it?
I would love to show you some pictures.
All right, let's have a look at some of them.
Let's start with something really dramatic.
Okay.
So first picture, I just want to point out that we're looking at a room here in a small Kitsilano home, tiny home.
So just to let our viewers know, Kitsilano is a neighborhood in Vancouver.
Yes, it's sort of a beach area.
And they're really old houses.
Yes, yeah. Older homes.
Really small.
Tiny rooms.
Yeah.
And this is a family of 4. And
it's pretty dark.
Yeah, when I walked into this room, they told me that they needed a nice place to read, a place for their family to watch TV. They wanted to play board games. Oh, and they also wanted a formal dining area in this space. Okay. And I just looked at this tiny room and thought, wow, do I have a challenge ahead of me? So fast forward several months.
Wow.
And this is what the space looks like now. Now, this is I feel like it's a bit of a cheat in a way, because they're actually, we went beyond decorating in this project. We did, there was a renovation component. So when we met with the client, we told them that because the volume of the space was so small, that if they increased the volume by vaulting their ceiling, this would really impact the space. So they actually waited, saved up their money to do a larger renovation that would give them this kind of super dramatic result.
What I really like about that is, you know, what you just saw was something that looked like a really old room in an old space, and there's so much metaphor there. I mean, what Lori does is incredible, and I think when we take that as a metaphor into our life and our business, we might look at something and think this is beyond help. But with the right guidance and the right expertise and a strategy and a plan,
nothing is beyond help.
Nothing is beyond help.
Obviously.
And oh my goodness, how, and to that homeowner, I mean, I can't speak for them, but I imagine myself going into that first room every day. It would feel dark and dank and dingy and just kind of like existing. And you walk into this beautiful space you've created, and now it feels like you're living.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we managed to fit in all of those uses. Behind the millwork above the fireplace, there's a TV in there, carefully concealed, and there's a lovely chaise for reading in front of the front window. We have a full-size sofa and some other chairs and ottoman options to pull out and sit down in. And then a full dining space that comfortably seats, I would say 9.
Wow. I wouldn't have believed there was that much room there.
I know. The client didn't believe it either at first, but once we showed them the floor plan, they could really see how it came together. And I think we really achieved our goal there.
So I'm curious, because you said it was cheating a little bit because there was a renovation.
Oh, I mean, that's decorating speak.
Yeah. So do you have examples of places where you transform with primarily decorating?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to use my own, this was my first home office in my own home. So I purchased a house, a 1950s side split type home, and very modest sized rooms, and needed to outfit my office, which also merged into a craft room at the same time. And so there is an image here of what that room looked like empty.
Okay, that's really turquoise.
Yes. Yeah, we toned it down a little. And so, with some wallpaper and no renovation work at all. Just a bit of wallpaper, window coverings, and some, wall-to-wall countertop for a desk.
Wow.
And a couple of treasured vintage pieces, which I love to incorporate into a design. I think we managed to really transform that room without doing any renovations whatsoever.
And you know what, I mean, looking at this, I mean, both of them, I cannot believe they're the same room. And what's fascinating to me is, what you said earlier is just so profound here, because somebody can have really good taste. And I think we all like to think we have good taste, whether we do or not. We like our own taste, right?
Yeah.
But even though I might like my own taste, there's no way I could have visioned that or seen that or come up with that idea. I wouldn't have known that was possible. And I think that's the most important part when we think about hiring a professional for our business, like whatever it is. I mean, this is decor, in our own, I run a coaching business, and, I work with people because they can't see for themselves what
Absolutely.
I can see. And it's the same with decorating. I mean, if you weren't telling me that this was your home in the same room, I would be like, come on.
You wouldn't believe it.
No. So how do you get that creative vision to even go from the turquoise pond to paradise? How do you do that?
Well, I mean, it doesn't just happen magically. For me, it all starts with the client. Mm-hmm. So I assign my clients a certain amount of homework before I meet them. I want them to pull some images of rooms that really speak to them, because that gives me a visual. It's different from them telling me I want something modern or pretty, or it's very specific. So I go through those pictures with them, and we really hone in on what it is about the rooms that they love. And then I take those cues and start, dreaming about what this room could be for them. And of course, I incorporate their needs in terms of, physical space and storage needs, and, whatever they're going to use the room for. We take all that into account. And it's like my mind is like a blender. You put all those ingredients into the mind and let it spin. And usually that takes the form of me, going out kayaking or sitting somewhere outside and closing my eyes and just kind of visualizing. And I also use a lot of pictures. I use Pinterest. I use Houzz. We look through images, and just get there. Something usually jumps out as an inspiration. And actually, sometimes the client has something we use as a starting point. Okay. And that's always really exciting. For instance, in the first home that I showed you, it's a beachside community, and the client's grandmother had collected seashells and different sea life from all over the world, beaches all over the world. Oh, cool. And she lost her grandmother not that long ago, and it was really important for her to incorporate that element of family into the room. So we actually created a family gallery on the wall, and we incorporated shadow boxes that had these pieces shadow boxed, in the space. And there was a pale sort of mauve color in some of the pieces that we pulled out in the artwork. And so I love when we can start with something like that, because that's what's going to make a space really personal for someone.
Well, and again, getting back to having that vision of the whole picture and the strategy, if that's not your expertise, I mean, I wouldn't even think, okay, pulling colors out of the shells for different things.
Right.
I mean, my mind, I got the shells, I'm going to put them in a jar and stick them on the counter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
that's the extent of it.
You have it there, but it's not the effect of like, wow, this is a real tribute to my grandmother to have them in the shadow boxes.
Yeah.
And then make it as a natural part of the decor. And so what do you do? Like, do you ever find yourself creatively stumped? I mean, how do you overcome that? Or you just always have the ideas flowing?
Everybody runs into a brick wall once in a while when it comes to creativity. And I think usually what I do to overcome that, if that happens, is I will try to put myself into a different scenario. So maybe I need to get outside. Maybe I need to look through, look for a new website that I've never seen before, and sometimes it'll literally be like I walk out my door and on the ground there's a leaf and there's a rock sitting on top of it, and the colors are just all kind of coming together, and grays and greens, and oh my goodness, all of a sudden, the color scheme is there right in front of me. and so I'll go back to the office and I'll go searching to elaborate on that idea, and it kind of builds from there.
So that never happens to me. That's why I don't do my own stuff.
I don't think most people do that. I think it's kind of particular to my line of work or any kind of visual line of work.
That's what's really cool. And the other thing you said too, and I'm paralleling all of this to like our entrepreneurial journey, because we'll talk about yours in a second. The other thing you said was you asked them to get specific, right? So we want to create results in our life, and I do a lot of work, with subconscious belief and subconscious programming. And when we use words that are abstract, like I want more, I want abundance, our subconscious mind doesn't know what that means. Mm-hmm. And I love how you said when they want a warm space or modern space, you don't know what that means, right?
I don't.
It has to be specific. And it's specificity that really gets you where you want to be. It's what helps you create what you want. And this is why another metaphor why I think your environment's so important, because people may think it's fluff, but it's not. And it's not like a nice to have, it's a requirement. And yet we still sometimes battle with that in our mind. Mm-hmm. Yet if we can be so specific about something like that, I mean, how else does that translate to other parts of our life in terms of getting what we want?
Exactly. I mean,
because we're saying, I want this for me.
Yeah. You need the clarity. You need to be ready to, to treat yourself, I guess you could say. I do think it's a necessity. Many others would argue, food is a necessity, decorating is not.
I disagree.
But it's me too. I really think that the impact it can have on your life, it's so much more than superficial.
Well, and you think about it, if there's ever something in my own home that isn't working, like I think right now the carpet I want replaced. Every time I look at it, I get annoyed.
Yeah, exactly.
and it doesn't, and even if it's not like conscious annoyance, it's subconscious stress.
Yes.
And that goes to every other aspect of your life and how you show up, right? So
absolutely.
It is important. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I've made the commitment, I'm going to do it. How much longer am I going to be annoyed by this, right? And so we have to realize that if we're not putting ourselves in an environment that everything around us sets us up for who we want to be and what we want to become, even if we're not consciously thinking about it, we're creating subconscious stress for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And it affects our life, it affects our relationships, it affects our wallet, it affects our money. And I think good design is an investment, right?
Absolutely.
Whether for me, it's preaching to the choir. But I'm just hoping that, when you hear this, you can be inspired to think about, your surroundings and how are you creating an environment for success for yourself. These models are beautiful. Do you have any more you could show us?
Yeah,
while we're still here.
What I'd like to do is actually show you something where, it's a home that it looks like many homes that we go into. Mm-hmm. So It's perfectly fine. So this is a kitchen.
Okay.
Looking through from a family room space. And this kitchen is a perfectly fine kitchen. It's relatively new. It functions well.
Has nice
lots
finishes,
of space,
yeah.
nice finishes. But the client, there were things that were bugging her. And as somebody who cooks for a family of 4 in the kitchen every day, the pantry wasn't functional. The coloring was really dark and she never felt like she could really scrub it clean. So we were looking for ways to brighten it up and just to increase the function. And there's a table over here that's freestanding. She really wanted the family to be able to gather around while she was cooking and kind of be part of a conversation. So what we did is we lightened it up and we turned it from this into this.
Oh my God. Wow.
So that's much lighter, even though we have some dark elements still. Yeah. And so, it's something can look just fine and be functional, but it's those little things and it's the fine tuning. I mean, this client wanted to up-level her kitchen to something that she was happy spending, 4 hours plus a day in.
Well, and what's really amazing to me in that, and I think this is, this is something that a lot of us will come up with in our lives, one way or the other, whether it's decor or our car or our business, where it's actually more than good enough. Right?
Yes.
So looking at that kitchen, it had beautiful wood. It had pot lights. It had a big window. It had all the things that a lot of people might think are, hey, what are you complaining about?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is such a great metaphor because it did not make her happy. It did not represent who the client was.
That's right.
And oh my goodness, what a transformation. So just because something seems to be working or seems to be okay, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, and I think it's really about listening to yourself because you can accept anything. And what I'll often tell people is you can literally adapt to whatever the situation is that you have. Yeah. But it's not about adapting and making do, and it's really about taking things to the next level where it really is the reflection of who you are and how you want to live.
And so for this client, I mean, going from a nice kitchen to like the dream kitchen that's hers, what did it do for her?
Well, I would say she's a lot happier cooking those meals for her family.
So they all benefit. They get more food.
Absolutely.
She wants to be in the kitchen. She loves being there. That looks to me like a space that, you know what, I want to be in here. I want to take photos. I want to have family memories in here.
Yeah, and I want to have parties and entertain and get people together. I mean, it
versus getting in and getting out.
Yeah. It really, it changes her everyday experience.
An environment is so important for that, I think. So I want to just digress a little bit here on the topic of entrepreneurship.
Sure.
Because, a lot of the people that watch Living Forward TV have had careers or are considering leaving a career to start their own business. Mm-hmm. And you did the same thing. So what was the pull for you?
Well, I always knew that I had to have my own business. I think my father is an entrepreneur. He always had, stores, and what it comes down to for me is that I don't know if I should say this about myself, but I'm a bit of a control freak. And what I found is when I was working for other people, I would work so hard and I would give it my all. And then, you didn't really get the recognition, or somebody else took the recognition. Sure, you got a paycheck, but it was usually fairly meager, and you didn't have really control over the outcomes. You were just kind of on this wheel doing things for somebody else. And I guess I'm a lot like my father, so I always, looked to him and what he did, and I knew that I had to follow that same path. So basically everything I did up until that point was just putting in time to get myself organized to have my own business.
So was there a fear for you, or was it just a natural?
It was a must. I wouldn't say it was a fear at all. No, the fear, I suppose, did come in when I had to leave that job, that minute where you make that decision, or that maybe it's not a minute, but the time when you make the decision to, okay, I'm doing it, I'm making the call, I'm giving in my resignation, and, now I'm going to rely on this as my living. And I planned it very carefully. I had a part-time job that I sort of did in the beginning and to supplement my income, but it was never will I do this? It was a when can I do this? How soon can I do this?
And I'm hoping you noticed the questions Lori asked herself. It wasn't, as she said, will I? Our questions, again, I mean, this gets back to environment and mindset. Our questions control the quality of our life. The better your questions, the better your answers. So saying, when can I do this and how will I do this are very different than, will I do this? Because one is self-doubt. The other is, this is happening, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. Now, so you've been at this 17 years now as an entrepreneur.
Oh my goodness, that makes me feel so old.
I know that feeling. And entrepreneurship isn't a straight line.
No, it isn't.
And what would you say to those who are afraid to start their own business because they're afraid of the hiccups, or they're afraid that there might be a cash flow slowdown, or that they might not get the clients right away?
I would say there are going to be hiccups. No question. You can count on it. There are going to be times when you feel sick to your stomach because something hasn't gone as planned. Where's the money coming from? Where's the next job? I mean, I still experience it. I think that's the reality of being an entrepreneur and being totally self-reliant and having other people relying on you, because as soon as you start hiring staff, then you're responsible to others, which causes even more stress. But to me, it's all worth it. I mean, I ultimately have control of my destiny. And, I can make the plans, I can, move forward and make it happen. So I don't think there's any drawback, and there's definitely fear, but I think fear is a good driver.
Yeah.
So.
And can you speak a little bit to the aspect of freedom? I think sometimes people think about, they think, well, being free is you just go off, you work on a beach and the bank account fills itself. It's not quite like that as an entrepreneur. You got to put in the work, but you can still be free.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. I think sometimes I care so deeply about what I do and the outcomes and my clients that I sometimes don't allow myself the freedom that I should be able to as an entrepreneur. And that's why I have a business coach to help me along the road and make sure that I do have those celebrations, take some time for myself. Because one thing I've really noticed is that my creativity suffers immensely when I'm bogged down in the everyday and I'm overwhelmed. I always thought of it as, oh yeah, I'm spoiling myself, like to have a pedicure or something, that's like spoiling myself. But what I've realized is when I'm sitting in that chair with like the vibrating, thing going, that sometimes I have these amazing ideas, and then I can go, back to the office and create something fabulous that wasn't there before. So that's really key.
It's just like the decorating, right? It's an up level. It's about believing in who you are and saying I'm worth it and creating that environment for yourself.
Yes.
So whether it's a pedicure or a massage, or I think you like kayaking, right?
I do.
So taking that time for yourself without feeling guilty.
Yes.
And doing it because you get your creative ideas. Because creativity, if you're doing the same task over and over and over again, it will be stifled.
Yes, absolutely.
You need to be away from what you're doing for like new synapses and all that stuff to occur. Like it's scientific to have that to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Lori, I really appreciated you coming all the way out here today, because I know I'm quite far from where you are, to talk to our viewers. There's two things before we go. The first thing is, how can people find out about you? Where can they learn more about you?
Well, they can find out about me on simplyhomedecorating.com.
And we'll have a link to that below in the show notes.
Great. And for sort of a full, portfolio of my services, I'm on house.com, which is a great professional website that you can visit to get ideas. And I ask my clients to assemble idea books so they can show me images.
And we can put a link to your profile there.
Yeah.
I'm also addicted to your Instagram feed.
Oh, really?
It's fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
It is so
well, that
beautiful.
was an up level this year. We really, I decided that I was tired of my poor snapshots. And so I did decide that we would use my professional photography and feature projects, and kind of take what we like to do in the Instagram feed is take people through the process of the project. Mm-hmm. So we'll often start with a floor plan, something that's but that is our starting point. Yeah. So we kind of guide you through, and when we take you to a finished product, and then we show some of the we hone in on some of the details that really make a project special.
It's eye candy.
Oh, well, thanks.
It's a lot. So you want to check, we'll link to all of that below so you can check out Lori. And if you are local to the Vancouver area, I'm going to shamelessly plug her. Like, honestly, it's been call Lori. and I really appreciate you coming here to take the time, because we also have viewers that are all around the world too that might be considering their environment. So before we go, I'm going to ask you to look over at our viewers on this camera here. And if there's one tip or one thing you want to give them when it comes to creating an environment they love, like what would that be?
I would say the first thing that you should do is put out of your head that you've got to go shopping. Going shopping is not the first step. The first step is doing some soul searching and some research. Again, I like Pinterest or Houzz as a website. You want to go on there and allow yourself to dream. Don't be afraid to dream. Too often you're always, you might stifle yourself. Oh, well, that's probably going to be too expensive. I don't want to consider that idea. We as designers, we can pull something out of that. So just go and collect images that, inspire you and excite you. And maybe there's just some little snippets that we can pull out of that to give you something that you'll be really happy with. So that's really the first step is don't go to a store. That's not the way to get inspired. It's the way to get frustrated, spend money that you shouldn't have spent, and be sorry about your purchases in the end. Start off by soul searching. By that, I really mean think about what is it that makes you happy in a space. Is it cozy blankets? Is it pale colors? Is it dark colors? That sort of thing is really going to affect the outcome. So doing that sort of pre-work which is exactly what I assign to my new clients always, is really the starting point.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciated having you here today. I know this topic is a little different, but I feel it was super important because I firmly believe we need to be the person we want to become. And that starts internally, it starts in our environment, and every step we make is a step in the direction of I'm going on the path to my goal, and our physical environment is part of that. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. And I want to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you found most helpful today, what inspired you, and what you're going to look at in your own environment. And if you have more questions or you need more help, then I'd love to invite you to join me in the free Living Forward Facebook community. That's where I come to you live each and every week on After the Episodes and take your questions. It's a great place to network, to grow your contacts, and to grow your business. All you have to do to join us is go to livingforwardcommunity.com, click the Join Now button, and I'll see you on the inside.